Welcome back to the Social Distance Podcast, guys. It's been a long time. You've heard this all before. You've heard it all before. So it is a good show. It's good catch up with your mates, actually, after a couple of months. So enjoy it. Once again, it's a show brought to us by our friends at NordVPN. They've been waiting for a plug for a couple of months as well. So Jones is going to give that to them right now.
Okay. Well, you know the deal as well. You get 4 extra months free. You can stay away from online threats with NordVPN. Secure your connection, scan downloads for malware, block ads, and safely access your content. Go to nordvpn.com/social distance. And the lads there are going to look after you. And, dial up your security because you're going to be going down some rabbit holes in the off-season, lads?
Actually, there's a lot of happy customers from this NordVPN partnership we've got. I've spoken to quite a few people, friends and family who have accessed that code through our through that, and they're very happy customers. So get on there, get on board. Cycling season's just around the corner.
I like how your brain was going, access that code, and you're going to read it out, but it's already gone. NordVPN.com/social distance. Access.
There we go. Like, share, subscribe. See you all again next year.
Let's just run the intro and wing it like we always do and see what comes out of it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Front kick.
Just getting bored and dance move chat.
My radar's going pretty hard at the moment. I think we should.
Will you shut up, man?
That escalated quickly.
We're going to need to get some more qualified guests on this show, eh?
What's our excuse this time, boys? It's been a couple months.
Dog ate my homework.
I had to get your wedding stuff ready, so that's why I was busy.
Yeah. I've had another 2 kids since the last episode. It's been that long.
Yeah, I've had multiple internet dropouts. Haven't been getting emails.
Yeah.
Also, I was on a plane. I did the whole time zone thing, so I came Europe.
My car ran out of petrol one day. We were going to record, but remember, and I couldn't make it because my car ran out of petrol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And just time zones, like just trying to coordinate us all. Like you're in Europe, George is back in NZ, I'm in Australia. I mean, that's hard. That's real hard. So anyway, but we're here now. That's the main thing.
It's probably the easiest one to coordinate, though.
Look, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole.
Nah.
People know what they're going to get.
When I was at Tour of Britain, there was quite a few, believe it or not, listeners of the show and fans of the show, I would say. And they said they love our podcast, and I said, "Oh yeah, sorry, we're a bit fucking useless at getting them out." And like they actually were genuine in that was the appeal, that they, you just don't know when it's going to come.
Yeah,
and they were like, "Just keep that up." I thought, "All right, fuck, we will then." Well, the fans have spoken.
Yeah, so instead of turning it into negative, turn it into a positive, and this is all because this fan said to you, "Just keep doing what you're doing." Random.
We need these people to write to our podcast manager, the overseeing man, and say, look, actually, I know we set them a schedule, and I know that we've signed them up for this many episodes, but we like the fact that they don't do that many episodes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every other podcast is so planned. It's so boring. We're trying to freshen things up.
But we kind of get away with it with the DM group, because whenever they send us an email asking us when the next episode is, Jonesy just goes, "Yeah, mate, recording tonight." We never are.
Hang on, mate. The last one I said we're recording in the next couple of days, and today's the second day of that.
No, but to be fair, we were going to record that day. We had already planned it. Jonesy and I had already planned it, like on the Friday or the Thursday. Let's record next Monday or Tuesday. And then I went away on a golf trip with the boys, and I came back, and the days just, they went past.
Well, I will say this: whenever George writes on the WhatsApp group, "Let's do a show, boys," we do a show. So this show is full credit and tribute to George Bennett, because he got on the phone.
I couldn't handle the threatening emails from the management company saying, fucking keep me awake at night saying, "You owe us 15 fucking episodes."
Yeah. We'll just cut this one up, put out 5-minute episodes.
What if we went back to him and said, "Look, mate, it's now technically the off season. What about we do a show called The Offie and we do it live?" That'll work. That was a great period of my life.
Yeah, they went well, those live shows, didn't they?
Yeah, that caused so much anxiety for Bennett. It was horrible.
It's amazing. It's amazing that we it's very rare that we edit anything out of our shows. But just that little cushion, the little safety barrier, knowing you have the ability to edit, just relaxes us all a little bit more, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can say, you can edit that out now.
Well, far out, mate. Now I've got to chop that. I've got to put a bleep in there. All right.
Yeah, you do have to
I've
edit
got the
that.
time code in my head. Yeah.
Make sure you edit it out.
Yeah, I will.
What's news? What have we done? Last episode was Swain Tuft.
2
months ago.
At least we left the listeners with a good one if you haven't listened to that one yet.
Yeah, I'm back working on. I can't really give too much details because it's a bit top secret until it goes live. But it's on cricket. And what was fascinating is when I work with other crews, like I work with other camos and soundies, and they work on different projects. I had to capture all their footage and save it onto 2 hard drives. And as I'm doing it, I said to him, "Geez, there's a lot of pressure on that because if I fuck up one of these like data dumps, we've lost like a whole day's footage." And then it started going on a rabbit hole of like, what's your biggest fuck up at work? And I said to him, "Well, it'd have to be in 2011 when we were covering the Tour de France. I remember one time Scotty McGrory and I got this interview with Cadell Evans, and we were the only crew there at the top of this hilltop, and Cadell tried to be a funny bugger and get to a sidecar, and we found out where that sidecar was, bailed him up, got 5 minutes of gold, and we're running to the press centre to get it up the stick for Fox and high-fiving each other, and, mate, how good's this? An exclusive! And I go to watch the vision, and I've got 10 minutes of just my feet recording, just running to the press centre. I'd buttoned on at the wrong time. So no interview. It was just the period before and after, because when I buttoned, totally fucked it. I just remember the feeling of sickness, and we just sat there staring at the screen with our heads down for like 10 minutes because we didn't get any other interviews. That would have been enough. So
especially when you're under the impression you've just nailed, you're the only broadcaster on the planet who's managed to grab something with Cadell.
Oh yeah, and then this bloke goes, "Oh mate, the biggest fuck up I've heard was remember when Qantas did those ads. I still call Australia home. They had like all the choir kids at these iconic.
Is that the
spots.
Where the Bloody Hell Are You?
Nah. That was Lara Bingle. But before that, they had this iconic. All these choir kids at all these iconic places all over the world.
Like Ayers Rock and stuff.
Yeah, and they filmed a shot on film at London Bridge, and apparently the shoot went awesome. And so they're on all the crew on the plane back to Australia, and they're high-fiving each other, same thing. And the director goes to the assistant director, "Hey, mate, you got the footage? Well, you got the film?" He goes, No, Mick's got that. "Hey, Mick, you got the footage?" No, the clapper's got that. It went down the plane to the back of the plane, and then the last bloke goes, "I don't have it." They'd left the film at the London Bridge and lost all of it. But this whole iconic, all the choir kids, and literally had to organise another shoot day to do it again. But
oh no,
yeah.
Oh god, that's horrific. Worst days on the job's hard one. I'm trying to think I'm thinking of like what one like major fuck up I made once. It's hard because like my days on the job is like you were just shit, you know. But like there's one like I'm just thinking like early doors when I crashed like 60 people once, like literally 60, 70 people.
Yeah.
And I just was like I had this like oh my god, and it was like February, so I reckon I probably took off like months of the career. Like you know, you start the year well once it started. It was snowing. It was shit, and I was in amateurs, and I just caused this insanely big crash. I looked behind me, and it was just, you know, like when no one else makes it through, but there's somehow they'd like gone like a cartoon, and they started doing like the building a dam across the road.
And you just play like real injured, so no one came at you.
I didn't crash.
That's even better.
Worse.
At least you got out of there.
Mate, I looked behind me and went, and I'm just going, oh man, no one's coming through. I could just see the bodies like, and I'm just scratching my head, and it wasn't that far to go. It was when I was running. It was the first time I ever tried to use reverse brakes in a race. I'd snapped my bike. I was racing amateurs, and this guy had given me a bike and said, "Go on, try it. Like, here's a bike race on this." And it was this Trek that had European brakes, and I'd come off Kiwi brakes, and it was like snowing and wet. and I came into a corner and I grabbed the wrong brake, thinking I was grabbing my front brake to slow down. I grabbed my rear brake, and the whole bike just slid like this, and I just copped the guy beside me like massively out of nowhere. We're going super fast, and he went down, and then the next guy went down.
Yeah.
And you could just hear all the bikes crashing, and everyone, they're all amateur. They've all had to pay for their bikes, and I'm just like,
It's a horrible feeling when you unintentionally cause a crash, but you just feel so shitty. You're like, I know that was my fuck up, but I didn't mean to, but I fucked up. And
do you ever get away with it? Is there ever cases where you did it, but for some reason,
I didn't stop, mate. I got to the finish. I went straight to the van, and we bailed.
I think generally you get away with it. I would say generally you get away with it because there's only maybe less so now because there's so many TV cameras.
Yeah.
But like a lot of times, like there's only really a couple of people that know it was you. And in a 60-man pileup like George is talking about, the 60th guy to crash had no idea what happened. He just saw a whole bunch of people in front of him.
But there is whispers that go around. Do you remember this year in the Vuelta, the first? I'm trying to think. It wasn't the first stage. Oh, it was the stage that it was a little uphill sprint, and Corbin was like third or fourth, and we were all trying to do lead outs, and there was a big crash, and Navais crashed on the inside with like Aaron Smith, like on the left. I can't remember. It was early doors, maybe first couple of stages. Anyway, so like there was just like all these whispers. It was a pretty bad crash. Like guys were pretty hurt, and there was all these whispers about who, like, no one would ever confront the guy. But then I heard like the next day in the bunch is just we're going easy, and there's just chatter, and you hear like, oh fucking hell, how's that bloke yesterday? And then you talk to someone else, you go, oh mate, how about this bloke causing that? And it's just like 4 different blokes just getting accused of causing this crash, but no one actually. You couldn't actually see from the footage who had done it because it was like 10 wheels back. It was kind of in the middle. And so like people all ropeable. There's like 4 guys under the microscope getting like the chat going around, and it was just escalating. Like the story was like, yeah, mate, like he took his hands off the bars, or the next guy's like, oh, he tried to go through a gap. And it's just,
I was going to say, is there an unwritten rule? Like say if you're in the bunch and you're riding with a mate from another team, he causes the crash, but you're the only bloke that saw that. Is there an unwritten, like, don't rat in the bunch sort of thing?
Yeah.
Like prison yard?
I started copping a little bit this year when, should I say this? Yeah. So,
we can edit it.
We can edit it. So we actually had a couple of riders from our team causing like riding slightly, they were just excited, right? And they were really caught up in their job, really committed to the gap. And because I'm now apparently the old bloke, I started copping messages like DMs from other riders going like, mate, get that guy under control, or this or this or this. And I'm going,
you're the enforcer.
No, like, because I'm the old boy of the team. And I'm going,
you
like,
should know better.
I don't know. He's on my team, mate. You talk to him. Like,
Exactly.
sounds like a you problem massively.
There is definitely a general rule of thumb that you stand up for your teammates.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Automatic position. The default position is anyone wearing the same coloured shirt as you. It's us versus them.
But the hard thing is like, like there's always situations in races, especially in bunch sprints or like a race for a critical moment where you have to take gaps, and the gaps are never big and they never last long, but you have to, at some point, everybody does it. It's what you do. You take a gap. But the moment if it was let's say it was a young guy on your team or whatever, and you had a quiet word to him, like, mate, like a few people have spoken to me, like when you look at it, probably was a bit silly you took that gap. Just be a bit careful. The moment you have that conversation, that guy will never go for another gap again.
And that's the thing. You got to encourage, but it's such a fine line.
It's a real fine line, of trying to find like the balance between like being reckless without diminishing their ability or their confidence to go for those gaps.
Yeah. Do you know what's been interesting? As I've just come back to New Zealand actually, and chatting with like, I guess it was I don't know if it was this year or last year, like the Netflix documentary Did it come out this year? The first Unchained, or was it last year already?
No, last year was the first one. The second one was this year.
Which one had Jasper Philipson in it?
First one.
Oh, well, anyway, I've been copping lots of like chat about like, so from non-cycling, like there's no cyclists here. So like you get the line of inquiry from like other people, and so is that Philipson bloke as shit as he seems, like, as a bloke? And I'm like, oh no, he's a nice guy. But the consensus from the outside world is like he's an asshole from watching that documentary. I haven't seen it, but there must be a bit where he says like, I take a gap or I crash or something. I don't know, along those lines.
Yeah.
But to the outside world, it was so crazy.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, that's kind of the reality of sprinting. But there must be it must be nuanced to a point where like, well, yeah, at some point you are just risking everyone's life. But at some point, if you don't take that risk, you're not going to win a sprint. Like, how do you tread that board finally?
It's always a funny one when sprinters say, like, criticize another sprinter. It's like, mate, you're all the fucking same. Like, like, don't bullshit a bullshitter, eh? You're all cut from the same cloth here.
We used to sit on the bus in Jumbo, and they used to say, like, Yodium off podium. Like, it means iodine to clean your wounds, or I'm on the podium. And you're like, fucking hell. I'm like, cool. You boys, you do you. I'll hang at the back and I'll wait 3 days till the climb start because I'm not on board with that.
I'll be last, Will.
Yeah.
It's, man, talking about crashes, it's like, actually, no, don't worry about that.
I was going to say, like, what do most of the guys do in the offie now? Because, we've talked about it a few times, but I used to love Ween Dog's approach where it was 1 month off the bike. Like 1 month, that's it. Don't fucking touch a pedal. Drink as many beers as you want. But he'd always go, but I'll tell you what, when I start training, I'm the maddest dog in the peloton. I'll rip myself a new one, get myself fit, come up to form pretty quick. I'm good to go. Because I think a lot of people nowadays are too shit scared to do that, aren't they?
Oh, it's long gone, man. Long gone. Yeah, like nowadays, like George will be able to speak to it better than I can, but like professional, and it's quite, when you think about it, it kind of makes sense that like, professional athletes try to remain fit during their time off.
Yeah.
That
does make sense.
Yeah.
I haven't ridden. I didn't ride for I did some gravel ride, a couple of e-bike rides, but I took 3 weeks off a road bike. But I started running again.
Yeah, everyone does lots of running now.
Yeah. Bone density is the thing as well. You need that impact. You need that but like the running thing is crazy how it happens for like us, is because you basically have a Ferrari engine inside like a horse and cart kind of setup. Yeah. So if you put the accelerator down, it just rip the engine straight out of the middle. Like my first run was 3K at 6-minute 30Ks, and I was fucking buckled. I was hobbling around.
Yeah.
It is dangerous, because you did a pretty fast 5K the other day, and like it's because you've got the engine and you've got the physiological capacity to do it, but maybe you're muscularly, maybe you haven't. And like I mean, I guess you can argue you do because you did it and you're not injured and you're fine. But there is a greater risk of injury for cyclists who try to run fast, often, like a lot of times, frequently.
I did like a build up where I went like, right, I do 500 meters extra a day for a while, and then I got to New Zealand and I was like, it all started because Caitlin was like, I was saying to her back at school I ran like 16 something, and she's like, no, you didn't. Bullshit. It wasn't 5K. I was like, all right, fuck you. I'm gonna prove I can do one. So I like did a couple of fast 5Ks, and I was like, right, didn't break 17 or whatever, and then one day I just went to the track and just went full 5K full, and then haven't run since.
How quick did you do that in?
16.
Shit.
40, no?
The fastest I used to do these park runs, I did them at the start of the year. The fastest I ever did was 32. So that's double the speed. And I remember going 32. Shit, I broke 38. I was happy with that.
Yeah.
But
that's probably pretty normal in a lot of cases.
Yeah. Well, what sort of chassis am I running? Don't worry about the engine. This
you
chassis.
you got the chassis, mate.
You're running the Model T Ford.
Yeah, the one that's just Uncle Buck's car. You know, the one that
Uncle Buck.
backfires.
Yeah.
Got the big shotgun. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a shit runner. I'm a horrible runner.
But on that, like that's a good thing about when your kids get a bit older is your whole movie catalog is just brand new again. Because there's so many classic movies that you go, oh, I wonder if the kids are like this. I showed them Uncle Buck the other week. They loved it.
What is Uncle
Who's
Buck?
Who's Uncle Buck again?
John
I do
Candy.
remember. Yeah, John Candy, yeah.
It's got Macaulay Culkin before he was in Home Alone.
Yeah.
It's about the bum uncle that has to look after the kids when the parents are away.
Yeah, I do remember it.
Oh, mate,
Yeah.
it's classic. Yeah, they loved it.
Do you know the hard thing with this podcast in the off season is like only now you're starting to get like cycling content again, because you have that 3-week period where there's no content, like all the transfers are done. There's no route releases yet. It's like,
well, the tour came out,
but now the tour has come out. You know, there's obviously lots of talk about the Giro presentation being delayed, so that's been delayed.
That's niggly for you, eh? So in your job, trying to work out, well, I don't know if you do that. Do you work out do you have a part in which riders? I mean, they all suggest, right?
We all look at it in interest, and then there's generally a collaborative approach about what you might think about one route or the other, and how it may suit one rider or another. And like you get the tour route and you get the Giro route all within a month of each other, and you know, the Vuelta route comes, I think, at early December or mid-December, and then you can make a decision, especially for GC riders or maybe sprinters. You know, you see like
this year the Giro said, "No, we're not telling you where we're going until January."
Yeah, which makes it.
So it could be on January. You get there and turns out it's like you could be going, "Oh, we want to send this bloke here, send this sprinter here," and they go, "Surprise, we've got no sprints."
Yeah, and it's exactly, and it's harder to like the Giro for a GC rider. The Giro's soon, you know, in some ways.
Yeah, you're already training for the Giro if you're going.
Yeah. But like if you're not sure if you're doing it or you're doing the tour until January, it definitely changes. I wonder if you know, there's obviously been lots of talk about Pogačar and Vingegaard and Remco potentially going to the Giro. It seems like Remco's kind of squashed that idea and he's not going. But you know, a good chance that Jonas and Pogačar go to the Giro. I wonder if those teams know a little bit more than the rest.
Yeah,
you know, to get
I
those
heard that some teams already know the route.
Well, everyone knows the rumors. I don't know. So I don't know if there's.
But why are they delaying it? Because they don't know where it's starting.
Yeah, they don't know where it's starting.
Do you reckon that's the, you know, how we're talking about the biggest fuck ups in our work history? Like, there's a guy there that lost the contract to have it started somewhere going, fucking hell, I've just delayed the Giro.
Deleted that email.
Yeah, I deleted the fucking. I can't remember where I said.
But I guess for them, it's not really a fuck up because it's still far enough away. But I understand why you want to release the whole route as a whole. It makes sense and it's cool and it's, you know, that's what it's all about. But like at a certain point, no matter whether the race starts in Albania or whether the race starts in fucking Sydney, at a certain point, there's a part of the route that won't change. Like the third week, for example. The third week will remain the third week. The first week, yeah, I can see they're having to change. They'll have to change stages potentially, but
wherever the rumors are, you go to the best hotels in that area or some of the hotels and try and book that weekend. And if they go, you go, how much availability? Oh, sorry, we're booked out, because the organisers will book out a lot of hotels prior to announcing it. So that's how
you know how that's a good. One time I found out. Yeah, speaking of investigative, like finding out courses. One year I found out the Nationals was going to be in Cambridge or something, because like this bloke on Strava who organizes the Nationals made this course like early on and called it national champs 2020 or something.
Right.
And I went,
Ah.
and it made like a public course, and I went, fuck, I reckon the nationals might be up there.
Should have got his labels right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tour route's out, and it's a hectic tour this next year, I reckon.
It looks just like the most dangerous start and you could hope for, eh?
Well, it's very similar to what it was a few years ago, eh? When there was that big crash. Remember when I love how Hannah, like, she came from the kitchen to the lounge just then. Anyone who's watching this on YouTube would have seen it. But as she walked by the side of me, so on the back side of the computer where the camera doesn't face, she bent down, like tried to creep in, and then she just stood up and walked behind me.
Well, another thing I noticed for the people on YouTube is at the start of your spiel there about race routes, you did the classic male thing. You were mid-sentence, you've picked something off your face.
I didn't see that.
And then you must have got a crusty bit because your fingers started rubbing it and you gave it a look like, I wonder what that was. And then it's dissolved in your fingers and you just kept talking. I'm like, did he just pick something off his head then? Like,
I was watching that.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget it's not just the two of you that see me on screen.
Yeah.
This does go out to a wider audience of people who are happy to have sporadic shows pop up at any point throughout the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like a filthy start, eh? Looks
Yeah,
like the classic one when we started in Calais. Yeah. Where they just go, big bunchies, hectic, but real stressful that you could lose time. So like all the GC riders and the sprinters try and get into the front. Big crashes, and the bloke that sits around last wheel for the first 8 days, he wins 4 stages in the last week because he doesn't have any bandages on him.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's got Murder Britannia again, which is where remember when Vanderpoel took the yellow jersey a few years ago, and there was a massive crash, huge crash. Like,
was this Omiopi?
I don't know if it was the same year or not. I'm not sure, but there was a massive.
I think
crash
it was
coming into one of those finals. I don't think it was into Murder Britannia, but it was into like
where Tony Martin saw the sign about a KOA and just fucking set his sights on it and went, "I'm going to hit that."
No, it wasn't that crash. It was I don't know if it was the same year. It might have been the same year, but it was a different crash. It was a super fast run into like a steep climb, and like Roglic and all those crashed. Alaphilippe crashed real bad, I think. It's huge crash.
Oof.
So yeah, it's going to be that sort of style.
Cool.
I guess. And then some hard mountain stages, mountain time trial. There hasn't been a mountain time trial for a long time in France.
Yeah, they're boring. Oh. They don't like those. They want just action. Crosswinds.
It's a good chance for Vingegaard or Pogacar to take about fucking 18 minutes out of everyone else.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
really open the race up.
Yeah, really. Make it a nice dynamic race again. 48 minutes to third place. Sweet.
But it's going back to Paris. That's good. Back to the Champs-Élysées.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your general feedback in New Zealand, GB, as the Netflix cycling series sort of had the similar effect to the F1? Like more people are getting into cycling as a result.
Yeah, but what I think what it has been is more like, is that bloke real shit in real life as well? Like that's what I get. Like, oh, do you know this guy? Is he a knob as well? It's more like character assassination.
Yeah, righto.
It's not like, cool, I want to go ride my bike. Because a lot of them look at that and go, oh, fuck, there's a lot of crashes.
Yeah.
Pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Doesn't look them. And I'm like, and it's not like F1 is never designed to make people drive cars more. You know, it's more engagement. So it might get more engagement, but I don't think maybe it is. Like, I still haven't watched it, to be honest.
Do you think it was made to get more people to ride bikes? I think it was made to get more people to watch bikes.
Yeah,
bikes,
I think people watch it more, but it's pretty crazy how much like cycling, how many like things need clarification. They're like people don't really understand it as a sport in New Zealand, whereas like that's designed for a European audience where there's an assumed amount of knowledge, where people know like these are big races, this is a team. It is a sort of bit of a people kind of get a team concept, but people in New Zealand are a little bit like asking the obvious questions that we kind of they're like, well, if you help your teammate win, then he's going to get paid more than you, and he's going to get signed, and you're not going to get results and not get signed. And you're like, that's a good point. That's actually
You'd hope it's not that simple, eh?
Yeah, I know, but you're like,
yeah, it's a real stink on your whole job at the moment, isn't it?
And then you realise cycling individual sport masquerading as a team sport, and you go, yeah, fuck.
Yeah. But there's definitely, for sure, there's like in New Zealand, the majority of people would really struggle to grasp the team concept of cycling.
Oh, it goes completely over the
because there's one winner and one guy stands on the podium, and
and one guy gets 6 million a year, and one guy gets 60 grand a year.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that's where they go. Well, so they actually are like, and I think that's the thing where people go, well, like, I guess you get that in other sports where you get a superstar worth more, but there's kind of like winning bonuses for like, I think it is quite a.
But still, most sports is like, even if the paychecks are dramatically different on the pitch, like Manchester City win the league, not Haaland. Whereas Pogacar wins a tour, not UAE.
Yeah.
Which is true. Which is obviously true because he's the first guy across the line. But the whole idea of how he got there. I mean, we all know he could win it without a team, probably, but.
But I would say, like, one of our successes as a team this year for us is that we are quite good at, like getting in behind the boys and feeling a little bit more like, oh, we won as a team, as opposed to.
Oh man.
With the exception of probably Flesh for Loan.
Yeah. Stevie didn't have a lot of support that day.
I got to the bus at the end of Flesh for Loan, so this is the worst weather conditions in the history of cycling for sure. And it started hailing. It was fucking 0 degrees. Not like it was horrific conditions, the worst conditions I've ever seen. And like, I'm out there fucking freezing, and
you love the wet, cold.
Yeah, I love the wet and cold. And then like, I don't know where any of the boys are. It's just absolute chaos. And I get into the bus, frozen, like, ugh, and get on the bus, and there's 7 of us. 5 of them were sitting in the bus. I was the 6th. I walk in and see all the boys in the bus. I'm like, oh, the boys are here. And they were looking at me like, where the fuck have you been? I was like, oh, I don't know, try to get back to Stevie. And they're like, just fucking have a shower. And then it'll be all 6 of us. And watch the last 2 laps of the race live on TV.
That is unreal.
And we won. We're like, yeah, we won. And then we're like, well, yeah.
Everyone's in their tracksuit when the winner comes back. That's awesome.
There was about 30 finishes though.
Yeah.
I did a race actually. My first year pro, it was my second race as a pro, and I was like, I wasn't a good pro at the best of times, let alone the first year. I was like, I was only a pro because I got paid. That was about the only definition of being a pro bike rider. And I did hit Volk or hit Newsblad. I think it was still called hit Volk back then. I'm old enough. And then the next day was Kern Brussels Kern, and it was like worse than Flesh. There was like there was 14 finishes or something like that. 2010 Kern Brussels Kern. Look it up. There was like 14 finishes. Bobby Traxel won. Ian Stannard was second. And we had like one guy finish or something from our team. And I just remember getting my head ripped off by the DS. And I was like, mate, there's fucking 14 people finish. Like, I'm hardly an outlier here,
I was happy you were our director at Flesh, and you were just like, fucking hell, I'm surprised one of you finished, let alone won it,
Yeah.
I remember one of the early, my first pro race, my second pro race in Europe, and it was Castel Leon, and it used to be in like used to be March, and it's a freezing cold part of the world. And we had Jose Azevedo, who was a legend climber for Lance, and he was like a god as a cyclist, but he was our director at the time. And I did the race with and Cloden was my teammate, and Clothing was the biggest, like, no bullshit guy. And we start riding and this huge snowstorm comes, and then all the downhills were frozen and guys were slapping off, and eventually they were like, fuck this, we cannot race anymore. Like, we couldn't get through the roads. And Clody was like, boys, we're not riding. So we all stop, and the thing stops, and then Azevedo comes in the bus and he's like, yeah, but Andreas, it's an important race for us, and then and your example for the young guys, and then he said to Andreas, he goes, like the cold, it's all in your head. And Clody just goes like, looks at him and goes, fuck off, mate. You were a bike rider. You were a bike rider a year ago, and you were a softcock. So fuck off. I remember him saying to him, like, and Clody was like the man. He's just like, you've got a fucking short memory. Yeah, a year ago you were here, and you forget quickly, my friend.
I remember Cody used to just play FIFA on his PSP the whole time.
Oh, he was
whenever he wasn't racing, he just have his PSP out, like all the way up until sign on, just playing FIFA on PSP.
That's it.
One day we were on the bus, and we were in the America, I think it was, and it was like Toro, Colorado, and there was remember Jens Vogt, who was just like the legend. Jens Vogt was like my first teammate, and he was such a good bloke for me. But it was because they were both German. There was always probably like Clody's quite cynical, and like there was all these people outside the bus. Like it was crazy for Jens. Like, he had the biggest crowds. He was like the most famous probably guy at these races, because all the Americans would love the whole like "shut up legs." Jens had his tagline. They just say, "Oh, shut up legs," and there was all these people like, shut up legs," like chanting outside the bus. And then Clody gets out there and tries to start the chant, "Shut up, Jens! Shut up, Jens!"
He was a good lad, Clody.
I was going to say that they released on Netflix that NBA doco, Starting Five or whatever. And the amount of pros that are addicted to PlayStation, like Anthony Edwards, one of the best players in the league, they reckon he'll be the next face of the league. He had like a christening for his kid, and he's down in the bungalow playing like some war game or whatever. And they're like, "Anthony, come on, mate, you got to make an appearance." He's like, "Just a second." Like he's fully addicted to games. And even
it's
in cricket,
horrible,
like, they were saying that there's a lot of players that, out as soon as training's finished, they're straight back on the.
That's what I was just listening to about the like some of these young guys that they were up for selection, opening batsmen. They always talk about like clicks in the Australian team and stuff and that. And there's just like the gamers. They just game full time.
Yeah.
It's a bit antisocial,
the biggest issue now is like, like 15 years ago or whatever, 20 years ago in professional sports, like it was all about you finish a game and like the Michael Jordan eras in NBA, and then like you'd win a game, and then in the finals or something, they'll win a game and they'll go to the casino and like smoke massive cigars and drink whiskey and get pissed up and have a massive night out in Vegas or something, and then fly into the next game. That was a concern, like, I hope the boys don't go too hard, or hope they don't get arrested, or, we need them for the next game. And nowadays the concern is like, these guys, same. I heard about it in football as well, that they're like the biggest concern of the coaches, these guys going home after a night game, getting home at midnight, and they're just staying up all night and just gaming, and just turning up to practice 2 days later and they're just fucked because they've just been up gaming all night.
I feel like there's like massive consequences for like a team thing, unless the whole team games, unless it's like, like we get on the bus after a stage and we all just like, all right, boys, we're plugging on, we just go online and kill some zombies. But like, and the spread in our team is unreal. Like we have Woodsy, who's like Papa Bear. He's, he ain't gaming. And then we've got a 20-year-old, and somehow that's what's quite strange about cycling. You have to have like this. We have like an 18-year span. And like, do you know when this was real evident? Is when we like tried to make Woodsy made like the Vuelta playlist, and we all submitted songs. So he gave like different genres, like.
Wow, that's good.
And it was awesome. So we had like, he just had this unreal like genres that it would be like pump up song, your favorite rap track, your favorite this, and like
you have like a songs to make love to or something.
Yeah, songs to make love. I can read you the genres. They were quite good genres.
Michael Bolton.
Yeah, look, I think for that I had Fleetwood Mac. But
Dreams.
anyway,
Yeah.
it was. But what happened was
I want to be with you everywhere.
it was like the generation gap was so evident when like we would have like rock anthem and it'd be something. Okay, here's some of the criteria: favorite pump up from the 70s, house techno Euro tune, song from your country, favorite song from the 90s, song from the last 2 years. That one was really hard, and I mean I couldn't find a song from the last 2 years. I didn't know a song from the last 2 years.
No.
I would
And I was
never.
googling
I
like
struggle with that as
songs
well.
from the last 2 years. Name one.
It's so
It'd be
different
hard.
because remember in the 90s, you would know the top 40. I used to
Yeah.
take Rage every Saturday
You'd
morning.
stay up.
and
You'd stay up late at night listening. Like,
Yeah.
on a Friday night, you'd
on the
listen
top
to it on your
fives.
radio in your room. Like, what's number one? You know?
Yeah, it's a big
What are they
deal.
up to now? Now that's what I call music. Like, must be in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah. No idea. They do these, and there's different charts. There's the Spotify chart because no one's buying CDs anymore. So I don't even know how they rank it. It's just must be on downloads.
Well, I found out that the second most famous musician in the world, not famous, the second most highest earning and with the most, no, what would you call it? Play count. So the second highest play count ever is a guy you've never heard of, some Swedish bloke that just pumps out all these AI tunes, and then they just go to like, you know, when you're like the hairdressers or like in a cafe and it's some weird like remake of like, you know, and it's sort of like you're like,
There's
"Fuck, this song
certain
makes me feel
tracks
a bit
that you're
silly."
like, they have made this for Maya or they've made this for a shopping center because you'd never hear this on mainstream.
Exactly. I always get it in Spain where there's like they sing in English, but they're like a song you've never heard of. And like in the Spanish supermarkets, it's all these English songs that are you've never ever heard of them. And they're very like they they make you feel this weird sort of like unease and you realize they're all AI songs or like
Oh, really?
and it's the Swedish guy that's just like he's composed them all. He's either composed them or I don't know, he has AI that helps him, whatever. And he releases them under like 100 different artist names, and the artist names will be like Baby Cot or like, you know, whatever, just some random name.
Yeah.
I am in a baby's room right now. So, yeah. And
but it's funny when you talk about the generational shit, like generational span and the playlist at the Welter. It's also cycling. Like we're just talking about Andreas Kloden and how we're teammates with him and stuff. Like I remember in Greenwich, like a few years ago, talking to a young guy who was like 18 years old, like, you know, given the history of my career as if you know, me thinking he actually gave a fuck. That like, you know, like when I signed pro in 2010, man, I was in this team of hitters like Levi Leipheimer, Chris Horner, Andreas Kloden, Jose Azevedo, Chichu Ribiera, and he's just like, what fucking language are you speaking? Like those guys all retired when he was like 3, you know?
And they were the gods.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of like my first team I was with Andy Frank Schleck, Fabian Cancellara. Like I just had gods, Levi, like all these guys. And people were like, yeah, but yeah, he'd get like 40th today. And you're like, no, he was the man, you know?
Yeah. I fucking Boonen and Cancellara going at it. But like, mate, there'd be so many bike riders now who are pros who don't know who Andreas Kloden and stuff are. Okay, of course, maybe the Europeans do to a degree, but Kiwis and Aussies, they'd be like, they didn't watch those Tour de France's. They didn't stay up till 3 in the morning like we did when we were 15 and 16 years old and watched those guys race.
It'd be like Neil Stevens rattling off teammates at Onsay or other people.
Yeah, but I reckon I'd know them. I reckon I'd because because back then it was like, I don't know, you paid homage to the past. Like it was like
Monday,
the problem is now. Shit. Well, they all like 15-year-olds will tell you how to train now. Like, oh, what you got to do is actually, if you want to get more aero, you're like, fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, they just
they're a lot
play PlayStation.
Yeah. There's a lot of
go game online, mate.
I'm hearing on the street, even in Australia, a few of the old pros, it's doing their head in because these young guys are talking about you know, training in level zone 2 and you know, giving old pros advice on how to beat Strava records, and they're like, fuck are you talking about? Like, yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
I know,
totally
right.
different.
Yeah, it's changed. But it's just amazing how time moves, eh? Like,
Yeah, time waits for nobody. No
I
man.
know. Waits for no one.
Relentless.
Like, it's 15 years now since I turned pro. 15 years, man. And like the other day, my mum was over here in Europe for a while, and we were having a conversation about I went to Rotorua Boys High School, and when I was there, there was the principal there was Mr. Grinter, and he'd been
Is that his real name?
Mr. Chris Grinter. He was principal at Rotorua Boys High School for like 3 decades or something, like crazy. And he retired last year or 2 years ago, or last year, I think, maybe. And I said, "Oh, who's the principal there now?" And then Mum's like, ratted off a name. I was like, "Oh, yeah, must be new. I don't remember him from when I was at school." I was like, "Fuck, I left school more than 20 years ago. Like 20 years ago, I left school. Probably, of course, he probably wasn't fucking there."
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
I was like, "Fuck, that's right. I thought it was last week I left. Oh,
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Scary.
It's nuts, eh?
One was on.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, what do you reckon? 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Longer than we normally get out of you. Normally about 39.
Yeah, your cutoff's 39.
Yeah.
So you're given 6 bonus minutes for the comeback. Well done, George.
But we'll lose 15 seconds when Jonesy cuts out but he needs to cut out that I said earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll jump online again soon, guys, and we'll bang out another one.
Yeah. And let us know what you thought about that episode. Comment below.
Don't. Rather not know.
No. If you do leave a comment, give us your worst fuck up story at work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd actually be good. Yeah, your worst fuck up story. I wouldn't mind.
We'll read out a few of these on the next episode in 2 years.
Yeah. And we won't say who they're from. We will, because you would have commented, so your name would be on there.
Yeah. Give us your best ones. Hey, you haven't added to the mix, Bills, before we go. What's your worst work fuck up?
I don't really make any fuck ups.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't know. Probably.
I'm trying to think of your work.
I mean,
there must
I'm
be
very new.
There must have been well, no. What about like in a team pursuit where you just dropped the wheel off and didn't get on or something? And
Probably the worst fuck up was when I lined up in the team pursuit at the Waikato Champs, and I put my pedal in. I cross-threaded my pedal in, and went off the start line and just yanked the pedal straight out of the crank and went over the handlebars.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
But no, there would have been something worse than that. I don't know what though.
Pulling a guy off his bike in the feed zone and having a scrap and then getting disqualified.
Well, that wasn't a mistake.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll think about it and I'll come back to you next time.
Yeah, I've had heaps. I've talked about them on the show, like when I got sacked.
The toothpaste stands out for me.
Yeah,
that's a bad one.
Yeah.
And then I told the story about Dan Murphy's when I set the record for 146 bowls at the Borderley Cab Sav.
Yeah.
Smashed
those.
Oh,
no, I don't remember that.
I was stacking boxes at Dan Murphy's. And
What's Dan Murphy's?
It's a liquor store, but like a supermarket for liquor. Yeah, massive. Yeah. And it took me about 45 minutes to stack these boxes of red wine. And I sort of leant back to appreciate my work, and I'd clipped a pallet jack, but it was an automated one. I had this red button on it, and the pallet jack, you lift the pallets up, and it's taken off. And I just, in slow-mo, watched this pallet jack hit this tower of plonk, and it started to wobble like a Jenga tower, and then it just tipped over and let this massive smash go, and I've just let out "oh fuck!" and red wine started flooding like something off Indiana Jones under the flaps into the store. So if you were in the store, you would have heard this smash, fuck, and then red wine just pouring through, and then it took the rest of the day to clean it up. And then they have to fill in a report of like what's been smashed, send it off to head office and write it off. And the guy said, he goes, "Mate, I've worked in this chain of Dan Murphy's for 30 years. That's a record." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, 146 bottles of Cab Sav you've smashed. Like never to be beaten. Yeah. So
maybe one of the biggest work-related fuck-ups I did make actually was when I was racing, I used to do like to do a cold bath before bed every night at home, like all year round. I do a cold bath before bed. And I was back in New Zealand at my dad's house, and I was running my cold bath, turned the bath on, and then went back out into the lounge. And I think we were watching the Big Bash, and it must have been like a real good, like exciting piece of play. So I sort of got stuck on the couch watching these couple of overs, and I was like, "Oh fuck, my bath!" And as I got up and ran from the couch, like there's like the doorway, and there's a wall to the right, and behind that wall was the bathroom. So you go through the doorway into the hallway, then you turn right, and then you turn right through another doorway into the bathroom. So, and as I ran on the carpet in the lounge, it went like the carpet in the lounge was soaking wet, and I was like, good sign. And I went around the corner, and the fucking whole bathroom was flooded, and the water had come under the wall and into the lounge. I was like, my dad's there, I was like, fuck, the bath flooded, and he jumped up, and there was just water everywhere, and I was just standing there like, oh no, what have I done? And his dad's just like, well, you better get some fucking towels down, mate. Like a whole bunch of towels down, and then, I mean, it's probably about now, it's about 4 years now, it's about now we start to find out if that wall's rotted or not, so expect a call from the old man at some point to replace a wall. But
I flooded a room at the an Italian race once when the guys were draining an ice bath or whatever into the shower, and then I moved the hose or whatever, and then the hose, instead of running into the shower, just ran into the room. Because me and Whitey went for a jog, and we came back, and we were on the second floor, and just see water gushing out over the ledge onto like all the floors below.
You going, oh, someone's fucked up there.
Yeah. I go, what's going on there? And Whitey goes, that's fucking your room. I'm like, what? Yeah, it was like, and my GoPros and power boards were plugged in, and they were underwater but on. So lucky someone didn't die.
Yeah.
That'd be good footage.
Yeah. It was.
I'll leave you with one last bathroom story from a race. I was at Tour of Catalonia one year, and I went in a breakaway on a suicide day. You know, it was you were there, George.
To a lot
in Valverde.
Freezing fucking cold. And Alejandro Valverde wrapped everyone up in a bunch sprint.
Yeah. Oh, not the
with a rain jacket on.
2 guys or whatever. It was a big day, and I was fucked. And I was cold, and I was wet, and I was like, I got to the hotel, which was like on the finish line, thankfully. And I was running a bath because I was freezing cold. So I was running this hot bath. And then the toilet was right next to the bath. So I was like, I need to have a piss. So I was standing over the toilet having a piss. And then I was so fucked, and I was like, I need to turn the bath off. So instead of just leaning over to turn the bath off, I turned around, and then like I turned the bath off, and then I was like, I'm pissing in the bath.
That's a great finish.
Yeah. Like, share, subscribe. Good to be back.
Right.
That's an awesome finish.
Yeah, it's fucking funny.
It's pissing in the bath.
I was rooming with Christian Meyer as well. He's like, why'd you leave the bath? I was like, long story, mate.
That's awesome.